Hi, I'm Jen, and today I'm going to show you how to make homemade vanilla ice cream. Making ice cream is one of our favorite activities to do at camp, so I thought I would bring it to you. Also, what's really cool about making ice cream is it's really kind of science. Actually, a lot of cooking is science. We're putting things together and changing them. So, the way I'm going to make this video is that if you have the supplies, you can just kind of follow along with me and we'll make it together. So here's the supplies that you're going to need. You're going to need 2 mixing bowls, a spoon, a quart size zip top bag, a gallon size zip top bag. You're going to need a measuring cup. Really a set of measuring cups would be great, but specifically we're going to need the 1/3. We're going to need the 1 cup. We're going to need a liquid measuring cup that will measure at least 1 cup. 2 cups is fine. You're going to need a 1/4 teaspoon measuring spoon. And then for the ingredients, we're going to need heavy whipping cream. You're going to need a cup of this. You're going to need a 1/2 cup of whole milk. If you don't have whole milk, you can substitute 2% or 1% or even skim. Although whole milk is going to make for the best texture and probably taste of ice cream, but it's still going to be pretty good using something else. I have 2% here. We're also going to need some sugar. You're going to need ice, vanilla extract, and you're going to need rock salt. That's that thick chunks of salt that you see in the wintertime if you live somewhere where it gets cold, that they'll put on the sidewalks and the roads. If you don't have rock salt, you can use kosher salt or table salt. Those will work as well. And I also suggest maybe a towel because this is probably going to get cold for your hands, and so you're going to maybe want a towel to wrap around it when we get to the mixing part. All right, let's get started. First, we're going to measure 1 cup of heavy whipping cream into one of our mixing bowls. When you're measuring things for cooking or baking, you want to make sure that you do measure correctly. So I made sure to be careful to really get to 1 cup. You don't want too much or too little. It's going to affect your outcome. Okay, once you've measured it, you're going to pour it into your mixing bowl. And then you're going to reuse that same measuring cup, and you're going to measure out a 1/2 cup of the whole milk, or whichever kind of milk you're using. There we go. Again, try to do a good job of making sure that you measure the exact right amount. Now, once you have that measured, you're going to add that into the heavy whipping cream. Okay, you're going to measure out a 1/4 teaspoon of vanilla extract. Do this slowly and carefully because you don't want it to just go overfilling your spoon. You want to, I think I got 1 drop over. That'd be okay, but we don't want to go having it spill all over the place. All right, and then the last ingredient we're going to need is 1/3 a cup of sugar. Now, this can be a little tricky to measure out because if you can see, like I dipped it into the container, but I didn't totally fill the scoop. So I'm gonna maybe need to use a spoon to help even that out. And here's a clever little tip in case you didn't know. You want, when you're measuring dry ingredients like this, you want them to be even with the top of your container. So this is a little over. So I can use like a knife or here the side of the spoon, and then I just sort of push across the top so that any of the extra will fall back into my container if I do that carefully. that's a little too tricky for you, you could just do it like over the sink or over the trash can. And now add that to the bowl. Okay, once you have all the ingredients in your mixing bowl, you're gonna go ahead and stir them together. You're gonna feel with the spoon that the sugar is all kind of stuck on the bottom. You wanna stir it so that that gets mixed up with the milks and creams and becomes as dissolved as you can. All right, once you think you've stirred it enough, you're going to pour this concoction into the small zip top bag. You might need someone to help you, like they can hold this while you pour or vice versa, if you don't think you could do it without spilling by yourself. Even if you stirred it really well, there's still probably going to be some sugar left at the bottom, so be sure to use your spoon to scrape that out into the bag as well. Now we're going to close the zip top bag. Make sure that you really get this well lined up and closed. Also, you want to get out as much air as possible. So if you push it against your belly while a little corner is still open, that will help get the air out, and then you close it up the rest of the way. Okay, now we're going to put this to the side. We're going to now, in our other mixing bowl, put in 2 cups of ice and then 2 cups of rock salt. Now the ice is not going to measure real flat or perfectly, and that's okay. It's fine to have a little more ice than 2 cups, but that's 1 cup. Well, here's a 2nd cup. And now I'm going to put in 2 cups of rock salt. You basically want a 50-50 ratio here. So the same amount of ice to the same amount of salt. So there's 1 cup of that. And see how I'm using my hand to just sort of level that off so that it's even. Okay, now we have 2 cups of ice and 2 cups of salt. You can either use your hands or use the spoon to mix those together. As you mix them together, you're going to notice that the ice is going to immediately start to melt. And that's what is another part of science about making ice cream. First of all, putting the ingredients together, the milk, the cream, the vanilla, and the sugar, you're taking 4 different individual items and putting them together to make one new item. Also, another sciencey part is that it's all a liquid right now, but we're going to change its state, and we're going to turn it into a solid, or at least as close to as a solid as we can get. That's science. But here's like really the biggest science about making ice cream is that if you ever do any kind of homemade ice cream recipe, they're pretty much always going to say to mix rock salt with the ice. And why do they do that? Well, it's because water freezes and becomes ice at 32 degrees Fahrenheit. And so if it's going to be warmer, that's where ice is going to start to melt. Ice cream, because it's not made of water, it's made of milk and cream and the sugar, it takes lower temperatures for it to freeze than water does. So to freeze ice cream, we're gonna have to make the ice colder than 32 degrees, if that makes sense. And salt is how that happens, because what salt does is it lowers the freezing point of ice. So basically what salt does is melts ice. That's why if you live somewhere where it gets cold winters, they put down salt on the roads and sidewalks before it's going to snow or have an icy rain to help prevent it from freezing. So what's happening is we're trying to make it so that it has to be colder outside for the water to freeze than maybe it is, and in which case it won't freeze, and then it's not as dangerous to people. So what's going to happen here is that we are going to make kind of like this, like a icy slush that is going to be colder than 32 degrees, and that's going to help freeze our ice cream. So what we want to do is put this into the big bag. Again, you might need somebody to help hold it open for you so you don't make a mess. I almost lost some of it there on my own. And please note, do not eat rock salt. Rock salt has other, some other chemicals in it, or really like minerals in it, that it's not made for eating. If you have it in your hands, you just want to like wipe that off. Don't lick your fingers. Okay, so we have our rock salt and ice in here, and now we're going to take our ice cream ingredients and we're going to put them inside the bag, and then we're going to close the big bag. Like before, we're going to try to take out as much air as we can, because what we don't want if there's air in either of these is that they might pop while we're mixing it, and then that would be like a huge mess. Okay, now we want to make it so that the ice cream is not just like sitting on top of the ice, but we really want to surround it with the ice, so that way it's going to get cold on the whole bag, not just the bottom. It's almost like we're trying to bury it in there. I mean, I feel like there's still too much air in here. I'll let a little bit more out. That'll work. All right. Now here comes the work. What you're going to need to do is just kind of keep mixing. And really, it's more like you're massaging it. Like if it's Play-Doh, you kind of mush and mash. And you're going to keep doing that for about 10 minutes until the ice cream starts to become that consistency of like a sauce. And if you think your hands are going to get cold, or you notice your hands going to get cold, use the towel to be a buffer between your skin and the ice. You may find that while you're mixing this that your ice melts too much and that you're going to need some more. So if that happens, just add some more ice, but try to add as much salt as the ice that you add. So I don't think you need to watch me do this for 10 minutes, but you can pause the video and mix yours until it's ready. I'll see you back when the ice cream's frozen. All right, so for me, it's been 15 minutes, and I think my ice cream is about ready. So now that you have your ice cream frozen, you're gonna open the bag, and you don't have to do this, but to show you what I was talking about before, I have a thermometer here. And I just I'm curious as to what is the temperature of this like icy water around it. And so if you can see, it's about 22, well now it's going right up because the air is warm, but it got down to, it's like about 22 degrees, the water. So that is colder than 32 degrees, so it's colder than freezing, which is allowing our ice cream to freeze. Okay, you want to carefully take out your bag with the ice cream, and it should be kind of, frozen in there. I can feel like up here it's seeming good. Here where it's thicker, it's a little bit more runny. If you need to, if you feel like it's too runny, you can just put this in the freezer, because this gets a little tiring and my hands get cold. If you think it's good enough, then you can go ahead and eat it. Now, careful opening, because you can see I have some of this salt in here, and I don't want the salt to get into my ice cream. So I'm gonna bring this over to the sink and sort of rinse the whole bag first before I open it, which I suggest that you do too. There. I don't want to rinse it too much. I'm not trying to melt it, but I just want to get the ice off. All right, so now we open that, and I'm going to take a clean spoon and a bowl, because I used salt on my other spoon, and you can see I have made this ice cream. And you can serve it up into a bowl, and you can eat it. Maybe even share some with your family members. But let's see how it tastes. This is really good. If you want to make this again and you want to try other flavors, a real easy other flavor would be to make cookies and cream ice cream, in which case you would get a couple of Oreos, like 2 Oreos, and smash them up first, and then add them in before you put it into the ice mixture, and then go ahead from there. Everything else would be the same. You could add hunks of fruit in there if you wanted, like blueberries or peaches or strawberries. Adding strawberries wouldn't exactly make it strawberry ice cream. It'd be more like a vanilla ice cream with strawberries in it, but you know, you can kind of experiment with different things that you think that you would like in your ice cream and give that a try. Well, I hope yours turned out well. Enjoy.